been just over 2 weeks since the release of X and Y, and ever since then, the Pokemon community is blowing up with helpful tips, tricks, and guides. The entire game following the story leading up to the champion was just amazing and mind-blowing, but we all know the aftergame is missing something. We've all dealt with the disappointment of finishing Pokemon X and Y, and just sitting here wondering, where are the rest of the Pokemon, why are there only 3 Kalos legendaries, and why can't I get into the Lumio City's fashion store? There has been a lot of speculation with the inclusion of theories on why there will only be 3 Kalos legendaries in Generation 6, but then something sparked up. In a Pokemon video released within a few days of X and Y's release, the credits had more than what we thought it did. Now before I move on, let me give you a brief history lesson about Nintendo. When creating a new Pokemon game focusing on the Pokemon, there is more than just creating a Pokemon, designing a 3D model, and adding attributes to it. Each and every Pokemon name must be trademarked by Nintendo for legal reasons. This is why you see the small TM symbol in small letters by the name of Pokemon in a lot of trailers. This also falls for the name of cities and much more. This is also why Nintendo was almost successfully sued by a magician over a decade ago when he claimed Abracadabra and Alakazam is the phrase belonging to him. They had to trademark the 3 names, which the magician did not like. Anyways, with that out of the way, in the credits of that video, a list of trademark names belonging to the Generation 6 Pokemon were shown, including 3 we had never seen before. Keep in mind this was in Japanese, so we couldn't do much with it. Following this, Cerebi tried to update their database of Generation 6 Pokemon with number 719, 720, and 721 of the National Dex. Cerebi must have looked into this as they had the English names in the database rather than the Japanese ones shown in the video. No images were shown, but being a popular Pokemon website, the unlisted web pages were discovered within a day, and Cerebi took it down instantly. The names of the Pokemon were Diancie, Volcanion, and Hoopa. Their types were also shown on the site, but I'll get to that later. On October 28, a group of semi-successful hackers were able to get the Pokemon X and Y game file onto their computers and were slowly able to decrypt it. They were providing information on its unique file type as well as anti-hacking defenses it had. 3 days later, on October 31st, we received gameplay images of these 3 Pokemon. Let's take a look at these 3 new legendary Pokemon of Kalos. The first legend is Diancie, the Rock and Fairy Pokemon. It is number 219 in the National Dex right after Zygarde and really does have an interesting appearance. If you look carefully at this Pokemon, you'll notice it isn't anything of specialty. Underneath the large amount of crystal formations lies a simple looking rat-like Pokemon. Diancie gains distinct features over its weak looking form. For starters, there are 4 small pink shining crystals behind its head as well as 2 longer ones pointing downwards beside each ear. They resemble long earrings, giving it a more feminine-like appearance. It wears a dress-like cloak over its body with a rhombus-shaped stone on its chest, along with 2 horn-like formations around its neck. The Pokemon sits on a levitating rock, which may make this a fast Pokemon with the ability Levitate, which can deal with its weakness to ground. Rock types do lack in speed after all, so this may be one of the first fast rock types. It also had a soft tail with the same shade as its crystals, pointing downward to the rock's lower level. Now, unless this Pokemon has no legs like Geodude or a crystal butt, I'm sure I'm accurate. This next legend is the only Pokemon out of the 3 that looks distinctly larger and much more like a beast and less tender, considering the others are much smaller in size and are less appealing to the audience who likes their nostalgic moments with a badass looking team. Anyways, this is Volcanion. Now, I'm not going to mention its full type yet just to support a point, but it's part fire. Its design starts off with a coconut-shaped body for the base. There are 2 crests on both sides of its body, resembling eyes on its chest. This Pokemon stands on all 4 legs, but the interesting part is the size of its feet. These large and heavy-looking legs contrast to its skinny arms, which give it a powerful appearance. It also has a cat-like face with features such as yellow sideburns and a yellow beard, which adds a more feline character to it. Finally, there is a huge red tube-like circle stuck to the upper sides of its body, with limited edition neon lights and an exclusive yellow light in the middle. Jokes aside, this may be the most badass component yet. The blue markings on its round tube may represent lights that light up, and the 6 limbs found above each blue circle are holes that may possibly release a steam or fire. Now, I mentioned he was part fire earlier, which is easily notable in him, but his full typing is fire and water, which really does not make sense at all in his appearance. Again, I'm going to leave this hanging and come back to it later. And finally, here we have the mascot of the Throw the Ring on the Horn game. You've been to amusement parks, haven't you? Anyways, this is a Psychic and Ghost type Pokemon, which can be a deadly combination except to Ghost and Dark types, despite its rather Buddha looking appearance. This Pokemon's most distinct features are the rings on its body. It has 2 rings on either side of its horns moving loosely, as well as a 3rd ring around its waist. This 3rd ring looks rather mysterious, as it looks like the separator of the rest of its body. Anyways, this has to mean it has a signature move or an ability revolving around these rings, if it were to get a unique ability, that is. I can see this as a special attacker with the special attacking version of the ability Huge Power. Generally, it's a very devious Pokemon with its 2 small arms and no feet. It also has light green eyes that blend well with its bright design, and a yellow ring around its forehead resembling the other rings on its body. And finally, it's got an Indian Buddha bun on its head, which makes us to believe its design and character is of a southern background. Now, moving back to Volcanion, his typing does not make sense and his appearance does not show a water attribute at all. Before I revealed his second typing, nobody would have expected it to be part water. The only thing that could have showed a water attribute is the blue spots on that round tube. Even that didn't make sense, so I've made a smaller theory myself. Volcanion is possibly a Pokemon with 2 forms, both sharing the same unusual fire and water typing. One is his fire or lava form, and the other is his water or sea form. The one we know of right now may be his fire form with the blue spots, which may invert when his form changes into a more blue water-like creature with red spots. Since his whole typing was shown as fire and water, both forms must contain both attributes, which means his ability may be the one determining the strength of his stab attacks. Maybe in his fire form, his fire attacks do more, but his water attacks do less, and vice versa for his water form. Maybe the item he holds will affect what form he's in, but this is all just a simple theory, which is yet to be proven, but I think it really does make a lot of sense and explains the lacking of a water attribute in his appearance. Anyways, we've made a lot out of this huge news leak. If you've made any theories on these 3 yourself or even have a concept, then be sure to leave them as a comment. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and let me know what your favorite of the 3 is. Oh, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow me on Twitter as well.